It is. Obviously, one involves solid state, and the other is a completely different form of technology. But what I'm really alluding to is the advance of technology over time, the progression of technology over time. And I think that when Corso's book first came out, didn't somebody look at and actually interview some of the major companies that held patents or whose employees had actually patented some of this technology?
Did you not hear Colonel Corso say that they were encouraged to file patents on this technology that was developed with budget money that he supplied?
But I find that interesting, too, because I have worked on a number of major government research programs. I'm familiar with government contracts, and a couple of them were so-called black programs, classified programs. And that would be a very unusual way to proceed. In fact, the government normally would only provide that kind of data in the course of a government contract, a contract for the development of some product or some technology.
That's exactly what he said he did.
Well, again, so you have to forgive me. I didn't hear all of the show earlier, and I may have missed that part of it. But normally, until very recently, the government would retain patent rights for itself.
Yeah.
And not grant those kind of rights to the contractor. Now, this may have been a very unusual case, but I also don't know here what criteria the government used.
Okay, well, first of all, you're quite correct. You missed all of that foundation that was laid at the beginning of the program. So, where are you located?
Glendale, California.
Glendale. All right. I'm not sure if you get the repeat Saturday night in Glendale on KABC. You might not.
I don't think we do, no.
So you might have missed it. And you might be out of luck because we laid all of that foundation at the beginning of the program. I appreciate your call, sir, but I disagree with you that it was a natural progression from vacuum tube technology to solid state. There's no natural progression there at all. Yes, both devices produce amplification. But the method, there is no natural progression you could cite with regard to the methods. And as far as fiber optics is concerned, that technology offers us more than we can even contemplate today as it's laid out. So, no, I buy what the Colonel had to say. What about you? First-time caller line, you're on the air.
Thank you very much for taking my phone call, Art. My name is Pat from San Pedro, which is in the Southern California area.
Yes, sir.
Art, earlier you asked your guest, the lieutenant, whether or not the Congress should
Lieutenant Colonel.
Excuse me, Lieutenant Colonel.
Yes.
Should have a open, somewhat of a public hearing on the claims that he's been making, which
yes.
I think was very wise of you. And what I would like to do as one of your many millions of listeners is ask you to possibly have maybe I forgot his name, the reversal person?
David Oates.
David Oates, to do some reversals on what he's been saying. And that way we can start from the beginning, which would be with the Art Bell Show, have the reversals done, and then we can confirm the Colonel's sayings. Can we not do that, Art?
Yes, and I told a caller from Anchorage, Alaska, a few minutes ago that we will do that.
That's beautiful. Now, excuse me for not hearing that. And if I may ask one more question, John Alexander was talking about how he's been developing or is involved in a non-lethal
weapons technology.
Weapons. What is that? What kind of non-lethal weapons are we talking about? Squirt guns? I mean, what is it that he's involved in? What type of non-lethal? I mean,
well, that
when you talk about war,
that would take a show to do with John Alexander, which, by the way, I have done, and we will do another. It would take too much time right now. But weapons, sir, when they're talking about non-lethal weapons, and you're talking about war, it is more desirable to, for example, take your enemy, to cripple your enemy, to hurt your enemy, as opposed to killing. Now, if you and I are having a war and I've got 100 guys and you've got 100 guys,
right,
and we're shooting at each other, I'm better off wounding one of your guys, because when I do, it's going to take one or two more of your guys to take him behind the lines, and in other words, you take out not just one, but two or three.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Art, but I've heard so many other times also that there's no rules to war, and you just go in and just annihilate them. And
well, since when, sir? Since when?
Well,
since the Second World War, since we dropped the atomic bomb, maybe. But Vietnam, did we go in that war to win it? We could have won it. Did we, though? No.
Unfortunately not. You know why?
Go back to Korea. Did we? We could have won that war. We had the bomb. We could have dropped it. Did we?
You know the reason why we didn't win those wars, Art?
Because we didn't have the will.
And why didn't we have the will?
You tell me.
I think it's because we didn't know what we were fighting about, and there really wasn't any particular direction to go into, and it was a governmental type of setup war, unfortunately. You know, it was like a war. It seems to me, now, I wasn't there.
Well, you gave me a definition of what war was, and I gave you two wars that were not that at all. So, thank you very much for the call. If you're asking about why develop non-lethal technology, why develop non-lethal weapons, I gave you the answer. The very nature of modern warfare is not as you suggested. In a perfect world, it would be. In other words, once you're going to literally go to war with another country and you are going to commit the lives, the flesh, the blood of your countrymen, you don't fight a partial war. I know about that. I know about Vietnam, and I'll tell you something. If I could have put my hands around Lyndon Johnson's neck, I would have strangled him until there was no life left. That man committed hundreds of thousands of Americans to a war which he fought in a half-assed way from the White House. And he didn't know what he was doing. And he was killing people. I have a lot of very strong feelings about that. So if you want to talk about the nature of war, we can do that. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello?
Hello, Art Bell?
Turn your radio off,
Yeah,
please.
I am. Okay.
Good. Turn it off, please. I'm going to have to leave the line if you don't turn it off.
I'm lined.
All right, goodbye. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, turn your radio off, please.
The radio's now off.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm calling from New Brunswick, Canada.
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to make a comment about tonight's information from the Colonel there.
Sure.
I think the information, if the governments choose to give it out, would more or less unite everybody, do a common cause, if you understand what I'm getting at.
And that common cause would be?
Well, it would be like our humanity itself would not be alone out there. We could, like, unite ourselves for the one common goal of reaching out into the stars. You know what I'm saying?
Well, according to the Colonel, these are not necessarily our friends.
Well, that's true, but that would unite us against one common enemy then. So I'm thinking if...
well, one reason we might not know about it is, if our government is, as the Colonel suggests, fully aware...
Yeah.
And they have no control, they still haven't figured out all of the technology.
Yeah.
And they can't control what flies in our skies, then they're not going to admit it's there. Because they can't do a damn thing about it.
Yeah. So I think then the government's going... I think that they're going at a wrong angle. I think that if they told us, we'd all be much happier and more stable because we'd have a common foe to unite against. If you were talking about World War II, well, all of us, all allies, went against a common foe, and for a while there we're all united, even with Russia.
How old are you?
I am 20 years old.
20. So you really don't remember a lot of the Reagan administration, do you?
No.
There were many times when Ronald Reagan made reference to exactly what you're suggesting. He said, if there are others, then we would unite as a world to fight them. Ronald Reagan said that again and again and again, at least 4 or 5 times during his presidency.
Okay.
Why would you think he'd say something like that?
I really don't know. I guess to prepare ourselves, or I'm not exactly sure why he would say that, but
well, maybe he knew something that he wanted us to think about.
Oh, I think Mr. Reagan knew a lot.